You are listening to Unleash Your Creativity with Omashola, where creativity is showcased in its many dimensions. A time to celebrate, empower, inspire, and equip creatives with thought-provoking interviews and up-to-date information.
Hello and welcome to Unleash Your Creativity, the show where we showcase creativity, breathe creativity, live creativity, embrace creativity, and of course, celebrate creativity. Now, I'm excited because this is my first show and I can't believe it's happening. It is happening. This is Unleash Your Creativity. And this show is all about celebrating the creatives in the industry, whichever that industry is. Now, I have been very brave and I have invited to the show as my first guest, the founder of Heartsong Ministries, of which Heartsong Life is a part of. And I mean, who does that? I am excited. And the reason why she's on here is because I found out about a different hat that she wears. Because my show is about people who, when I say creatives, I'm talking about people who have passions, who have hobbies, who have crafts, who have skills, entrepreneurs, and the list goes on. And by sheer chance, I found out that she has an amazing hobby, which is photography. So I am going to delve straight into it and find out what was this catalyst. Now, I'm somebody who likes to explain my words. So I'm first of all going to very quickly give you the definition of the word hobby. And it says that hobby is something you enjoy and you do for pleasure or leisure that does not generate income. However, I have a twist on this because I believe people should have the permission to earn, even though I would not like Eloho to add this to her belt while enjoying their hobby. So this is for other people apart from her, having the opportunity to believe, benefit, and implement enjoyed skills. And hers, as I said, is photography. Before I ask her about photography, I'm going to have two questions that I've been burning to ask her. And the first one is, how does it feel to be put on the hot seat? Because the last time we had conversation, I was on the hot seat.
Yeah, thank you so much, Omoshola. You know, every time that I get interviewed, I'm like, is this what I put people through? So being on the hot seat, it's kind of, what word should I use to describe it now? I'm not sure what to expect. And, it can be frightening a bit, but, I'm an interviewer, so I'll try my best.
Well, this is payback for all of us that you've interviewed and put us on the hot seat. Now, secondly, you are a creative entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. Personal brand strategist, visibility coach, broadcaster, worship leader, and founder of Heartsong Ministries. A true example of creativity in its many dimensions. My question to you is, how do you describe creativity in these many things you currently do? And what does creativity mean to you?
Yeah. So I'll describe creativity as the ability to express yourself in different dimensions. Jesus is the greatest creative of all times. And there's a song that comes to mind. I think it was Fred Hammond who did that song. And he said, many things you were on earth, a holy king, a carpenter. You are the living word. So, he was many things. And for me, he was just expressing himself through all the different dimensions. So creativity to me is just expressing yourself, expressing your passions. Because when I think that, God has given me the gift to sing, to speak, to coach, he didn't just put those gifts in me to lie dormant. He's put them in there for a reason. And so I have to look for the outlets maybe or avenues to be able to express myself through the various giftings and talents that he has blessed me with. Above all, for me, it is impacting and inspiring lives positively so that they can go and do and have all that God has created them to be. So if I need to sing it, I'll sing it. If I need to mentor someone, I will. If I need to coach someone, I will. If I need to speak, I will. All because I just want people to live the very best version of themselves. So I hope I've been able to answer that.
You've done justice to that. And within that question, I'm thinking balance, but I'm not even going to go there because the many hats and have balance. But the beauty of it is that you are comfortable in all of those different roles and you do them well. Yeah. Now, I want to really talk about your hobby, which is photography. And my simple question to you is, how did it start? What sparked your interest in photography?
Okay. I was told growing up that I used to really love the mirror. And so my father named me Vanity, but I thought that Vanity was the mirror because each time I stood in front of the mirror, he goes, Vanity, And so once when they took the mirror away from me, I started crying, give me back my vanity. I want my vanity. But I was told that I really, really loved looking at myself in the mirror. And then I had an uncle who was big into photography. I mean, Uncle Isaac, like we used to call him, he had photos upon photos of every one of us from small, everything we were involved in. So we all grew up in the family loving to watch ourselves on slides because what he did then was every Christmas when we gathered together to spend the Christmas, he'll put on the slides, switch off all the lights, and then you get to see yourself, maybe jumping or smiling or eating and something. So all of that, I would say, influenced my love for photography because especially with my uncle, it was memories, documenting memories. So you get to see things that have passed, really, really good things that would just bring a smile to your face. So I think my love for photography started from a very, very, very young age because I love to just see myself. Anything, my husband till date says anything she sees as a mirror, she uses it, I love to see myself. And also I think my uncle's influence, having taken us through that process and then showing us what he had done. So that's how I fell in love with photography and pictures.
And has it been like that throughout your time when you were young? Has it been consistent? Has it been something that you carried on, or was there a slight change in between, or you've always been that?
Okay, so recently I've been going through photos. Honestly, I have so much photos from a little girl. And I think my mom, obviously my parents, documented so much from my birth, me performing at the age of 6 or 7. I have all of those pictures. And so it continued. But looking through some of my photos now, I'm wondering, why wasn't I smiling? Because most of my photos, I just had this funny look in them. When I was a teenager, even when I was in university doing my youth service, I had this particular look. And I was saying to my husband, maybe at that point I felt having this mysterious look about myself was it. But I think I never stopped loving photos. Maybe I didn't pursue it as much, but it's been there. It's always been there. I have so many photos documenting every stage of my life. My youth service back in Nigeria, my university days. I have photos from all of that time. So it tells me that the love and the passion was there. Maybe not developed or not pursued as much, but it's always been there. So
well, I think documenting is always great. I had the privilege, my parents did, although I don't even think I know I didn't do as much as I should have, especially with that journey. Now, one thing I may not have mentioned to my listeners is that how I found out that you loved photography was your website. Right. I went to your website to just say, let me see, I'm trying to develop mine. Let me get some inspiration. I was like, Eloho is everywhere. Her pictures are everywhere. This is glam. And I'm thinking, this must be a very expensive venture. Have you always been like that? Have you always been like that?
That is such a good question. Well, have I always been like that? At some point in my life, I struggled. I grew up a very confident child, but then I am, and I was at that point taller than most girls my age. So I started to feel self-conscious and it affected my confidence. So this confident, lovely Eloho now started to want to hide. And I remember my mom then would always hit my back because I was trying to slouch because I felt I was too tall. So my mom would always hit my back, stand up straight, stand up straight. But I struggled with a lack of confidence. I struggled with my own self-esteem. I always didn't feel good enough, and I think that most people struggle with that feeling anyway. And it affected me. So at that point, I didn't think I was worth celebrating. Let me put it that way, because pictures, obviously when you take pictures when you're celebrating, when you just want to document something. So I didn't feel like I was worth any of that. And I was trying to hide away because it just felt, you're not good enough. You're too tall. And that word too, anytime you put the two in a word, it becomes negative. I struggled with the lack of confidence. It affected every area of my life until obviously things had to change.
I was just about to ask, what was that shift? So when did you think, do you know what? This is me. This is who I am. This is how I've been created. I am going to celebrate me. Because when I looked at your website, it was purely you. Celebrating you. Yeah. What was that shift? What happened? How did you overcome that? Because we are talking about photography, but I know, as you said, the word too, it means that it almost tilts towards the negative. And I feel my listeners would really, you've touched on something there that even though it's not necessarily linked directly to photography, as it were your hobby, it would be something that would enrich my listeners to know, how did you overcome to become that glam that I'm calling you on your website?
Okay. It's taken years of work, mindset work, coaching, and just being around a support system, where I remember once someone said to me, I think this was way, way, way back, even though I still struggle to believe that. A pastor friend said to me, Eloho, you are beautiful. It felt weird. Do you understand? It felt really, really weird. I was like, I'm not sure you know what you're talking about because I'm skinny, I'm tall. So how can you say I'm beautiful? But like I said, it's taken years of mindset work. I honestly, thank God for my coaches and my mentors, because even as an adult, even going into marriage, you would have thought that, okay, maybe things will be better. But even in marriage, I was struggling. I was organizing concerts. I was struggling, because I still didn't feel like I fit in because I just felt, being tall was something. And I suffered all other things. But I had to get to a point where I realized that if I didn't love me, nobody else would love me. If I didn't see worth or value in myself, nobody will see. And this was happening in my life because, like they say, energy, whatever energy you're giving off, that's how people will relate with you. So I was giving off a wrong energy. You see this beautiful, now I can say beautiful. You see this beautiful tall woman in all her elegance, but then she's giving off this energy that doesn't quite sit with what you're seeing. So it took a whole lot of work. And then I started to say, okay, maybe my love for photography can be something. So I started to just take photos, lots and lots of photos, went back, and then
now she's very visual, and we're going to be talking about her as a visibility coach. So she is. So if you want to find out about Eloho, all you need to do is to just click on her website. And she's going to give you details about that later, because I don't want you to get distracted and leave listening to go and, because once you get in there, you're going to get engrossed in that. Now, from the artist hat that you wear as a worship leader, you've written quite a number of songs, and I'm looking at the title of the one called Fearless. Was Fearless a statement? Were you saying something in that? What were you saying? And anything you want to share with us about that title, because I love that title.
Yeah. So this was my second album, and Fearless is from my second album. So when I released my first album, Arise, I was still very shy, very timid, lacking confidence. And if you go back and listen to my song, you can tell that, I was just like, I don't want to offend anybody. Even when I released that first album, people were saying all sorts of things. Started to compare me with other people. If it's this person, they would have done the song better. I'm like, this is my song. God gave me this song. So I think from releasing my first album in 2014 to releasing the next one in 2016, I had gone through a whole lot of transformation. And at this point, I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter what you think. As long as God says it's okay, as long as I'm okay with it, that's all that matters. And so I'm going to stand fearless. In fact, the whole album was titled Unrestrained. So whatever it was that was holding me back, this time I am making a statement. It's like, no more. I'm no more bound. I am fearless. I'm unrestrained, and I'm going to chase after everything God has put on the inside of me. So fearless is actually a statement, and it is based on Psalms 46, where it talks about God is our refuge and our strength. And then it says, I think in the verse 2, it says, therefore we will not fear, though the earth should change. So for me at that point, it was like, you might be saying what you're saying. You might not even not support me because, as a creative, we need all the support. You may not support me. You may not like it, but I will not be afraid because God has said, go Eloho. I'm your refuge. I'm your strength. So yeah.
Amazing. And can you see how we've woven that into your hobby, photography, the link between you now stepping out, coming out, even the pictures on the album itself. It is a statement.
Yeah, it was.
In itself. What an amazing story. Back to the photography. I promised my listeners, I said, we're going to unpack the power of pictures. In your experience of photography, would you consider pictures powerful or a powerful tool, and why?
I think both. Pictures are powerful, and they are a powerful tool, especially if you want to stand out, if you want to, I'm a visibility coach, as a personal brand strategist. And one of the things that I teach my clients, I work with my clients is showing up consistently, showing up as your authentic self. And one of the ways, trust me, social media, there's a lot vying for people's attention. So one of the ways that you can stand out, one of the ways that you can make a statement and not just be like every other person is when you show up as your authentic self. And how can you do that? Using your photos, especially if you're building a personal brand. Even if it's a business, people want to know the face behind that business. So your photos are a powerful tool to get people recognizing you, to get people considering you as the expert in what you do. Now the world is so visual that social media, they had to even set up a whole social media just for photos and videos. So I believe photos are very powerful. They cause you to stand out. They help you get recognized by the people that you have been sent to. And it's also a powerful tool to convert.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I'm going to ask that question again, because that is a free nugget that you've given to those people who are building content, who are in visibility. But if I was just a regular person, just like you started off as a regular, just taking pictures, what would that picture do? How would that picture, should that person consider?
I started as a regular person, using photos. But what they helped me do was they helped people to know me, to like me, and trust me. So if you're just starting
do you mind saying that again? That's so powerful.
So I started off as a regular person. Truth be told, nobody knew me, but my photos helped people to know me, to like me, and trust me.
Wow.
So why do I say that? Okay, let me go back to 2011 when I was about starting my concert. Nobody knew me apart from people in my church. So I started to put up my photos and then people started, oh, I know her. Oh, there's this lady. Oh yeah, I know her. I've seen her photo. And I started to engage. So when I'm putting out anything, I use my photo. Even if it's a word of encouragement, a quote, I use my photo. They start to like me. Oh, we like the kind of things that is coming from her. Let's keep following her. Let's introduce her to other people or introduce other people to her. Let's share what she has shared with other people. Then they start to trust me enough when I say, okay, hey, I have this concert coming up on the 21st of July. Would you attend? Yes, we will. All because I showed up. I showed them my personality because, pictures tell stories a lot. So you can, it depends on what the message you want to convey. You can just use a certain photo and it will convey that message. In my case, it helped me build the know, like, and trust factor.
Fantastic. And you just literally went straight into what was going to be my next curious question, which was, how does pictures tell a story and capture your audience? And you've articulated that very well. But I just wanted to, just mention that particular question so that our listeners can have something to anchor onto that particular, that pictures tell stories. Yeah. Now, can you share any photography tip for those who just want to take pictures? Do you have a special camera? Now our phones are our camera.
Yeah, phones are fantastic now. Yeah. So what tips would I share? So with using your phones, because I have this friend that we go on walks together, and each time she wants to use my phone because she says your phone is of a better quality. And I keep telling her it's not necessarily, it may be, yes, but it's just because I have taken time to as simple as this is to just wipe the lens of my phone. Do you understand? So I clean it. And so when you use it, it looks brighter. But you never clean yours. And so no, I clean it. And then eventually one day she tries it out. I was like, you are so right. Because she took time and she cleaned the lens of her camera phone, and that made a huge difference. So my tip for any person listening is, if you're going to use your own phones, now you can take professional photos with your phone. Clean the lens, and also if you don't have lights, you can, there's natural lights. You can use natural light. So that's the tip.
That's a great tip. And can I do a true confession on air? I asked somebody, I went out and I asked somebody to take pictures of me, and she did. And she was kind enough to say, if you clean your lens, you will get better quality. And it never occurred to me. But I'm just trying to say the power of that tip. It never occurred to me. Because it didn't have the massive lens that we look at. It didn't have all it's inbuilt. It did not occur that you needed to clean the lens. So thank you so much. That is a very valuable tip. Now, before I move on to my next question, I think you talked a lot about being a visibility coach. You've given us a lot of tips. It would be only fair for me to ask, what is it that you actually offer as a visibility coach, and where can we find you?
Okay. First of all, you can find me across all platforms, Eloho, Efemuai, one word, or you can go, so that's on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, even on TikTok as well. Then my website is elohoefemuai.co.uk. So as a visibility coach, I help my clients build, I'll say influential brands using three key strategies: radical clarity, your brand image, and your visibility amplifier. So we go through clarity. Who do you want to be known for? What are your values, and how do you want to position yourself? What is the results that you give your clients? So we go through all of that. And then with the visibility amplifier, we begin to talk about a marketing plan. So now that you know exactly who you've been sent to, the solution you provide, how you want to position yourself, what colors. Yeah, sometimes we get into the color and the logos. You now say, okay, so how do I market this? How do I put this out? That's where social media marketing comes in. So we talk about content plan, content pillars, and just a visibility strategy, really. So that's what I do.
Fantastic. That is very deep. And if anybody really wants to unpack it, then yes. And I can tell you that she's doing a great job as somebody that has tasted and has seen what happens behind the scene. Now, this is something that I have introduced or will be introducing as I go along in my shows, and it's called Did You Know? And really, it's allowing people to enter into your world. I look at interesting facts about whatever topic that I'm talking about. So in your case, obviously, it is photography. So I did my research and I came up with some interesting facts, and I like to share them with you. And as I'm looking at them, if there's anything else you think you want to add, or it actually aligns with your thoughts. So I'm going to just read out some statements. The word photography came from the Greek meaning to draw with light.
Wow.
The most expensive photography ever sold was $12.4 million.
No way.
Yep.
What was that?
Well, the first digital camera was invented in 1975 by Steven Sayson. He was working with Eastman Kodak at the time. And I think everybody would remember Kodak as a brand name.
Yeah.
An estimated 1.2 trillion photographs were taken in 2020 alone.
I can imagine.
Thanks to the widespread availability of smartphones and digital cameras, which was what you spoke about earlier. And my final did you know fact is that the term selfie was added to the Oxford English Dictionary in 2013, reflecting the rise of self-portraits taken from front-facing cameras.
Wow.
Wow, I found that very, very interesting.
That's so interesting. Yeah.
Any thoughts, anything that you think we should know that I didn't mention that you'd like to share, or just anything else that pops to mind that you think, how has photography served?
Oh, a lot. But I just wanted to say a big thank you for having me and for stepping out and to do this. Creatives, we need to be celebrated. We also need to celebrate ourselves. So thank you for what you're doing with Unleash Your Creativity. I'm excited to be your first guest.
Well, I couldn't have it any other way. And I just want to say thank you to you for creating the platform that allows us to do that.
Yeah.
Because without the platform, we will not be able to. So again, we just want to say on behalf of everybody that has a show, that listens to the show, I want to say thank you for the vision, for creating the platform, for allowing us to do so. On that note, I'm going to say this is the end of my first show, but I'm excited because I know there are many more to come. So it's, as always, it's going to be the same place, same time every week. So remain tuned. Bye for now.
Bye.
You have been listening to Unleash Your Creativity with Omashola, showcasing creativity in its many dimensions.